In Luke's gospel today, the disciples are afraid of the expectations that Jesus has laid down for them. If we pick up the story in the verses just prior to where we caught up in the gospel today, Jesus says to the apostles, "It would be better for you if a millstone were hung around your neck and you were thrown into the sea than for you to cause one of these little ones to stumble." Flung into the sea if they let one follower stumble. That's a pretty scary threat. Those are big expectations. Let no one stumble. At that point, the apostles think they don't have what it's going to take Jesus' requests and to make them happen. So we pick up the gospel with the apostles saying, "Bring us more faith." But Jesus says to them, "If you had faith the size of a mustard seed, you could say to this mulberry tree, 'Be uprooted and planted in the sea,' and it would obey you." Kind of sounds like Jesus is rebuking them. So is he saying here that they don't have enough faith? Or is Jesus saying that even with faith as small as the smallest seed that they knew to exist, that faith would be enough to move trees and maybe even move mountains in other gospels? Jesus was actually telling them that the smallest amount of faith was all they needed to do everything that Jesus was asking. They already had it. They had shown that. And now here's the good news. Through Jesus Christ living in us, we already have it. And our faith in God, our faith in Jesus and the Holy Spirit gives us that source of strength for each of us. That faith that we already have. So the question becomes here, what stops us from going out right now and spreading Jesus' love to everyone in our community? Is it because of doubt? Is it because we may doubt that we have the faith to do that? Enough knowledge of the scriptures? Maybe we think we don't have enough confidence to preach this on our own. We might be thinking we don't have the confidence, we don't have enough schooling. Well, I don't have enough training to do that. I'm not an expert. I don't have enough experience. I can't do that. A few years ago, after I had worked through my discernment process of what seemed like endless committees and individuals listening to me and asking me questions and helping me to figure out what God was calling me to do, I was admitted to the Wai'ola Ihui'ia Seminary Program for Formation. Formation to become a priest. I thought all was right with the world, because I certainly had enough of what I needed. I had faith in myself, I had the faith of the community, and I had the faith of the leaders, all to move forward into the priesthood. So in our very first session at Wai'ola, I hit my first of many crises of faith, and I wasn't expecting that. We went around the room, and each of us sharing our stories of what had brought us to this point in our lives. And I was hearing stories of how priests had come to these others and told them, hey, you belong in the priesthood. I heard stories of miracles happening in other people's lives that led them there I heard stories of years of scriptural training. I heard other stories, people with masters of divinity. All of them, every single one of them, being born into the church family. These were faith-based stories of real Christians who seemed much more ready for this priesthood thing than I was. At that point, I was sure that I didn't have enough faith to continue. I mean, I couldn't compare to these others. I'd come late to religion. I hadn't had any scholarly teaching. I had never even been to Sunday school. What could I offer? Certainly nothing compared to these. So the question was, how much faith is enough? And I went home shaken. I think Joe remembers that night. I got into the car and I burst into tears. I don't belong here. But someone said, carry on. So what stops us in our tracks from continuing on in what God is calling us to do? Doubts that we have enough faith? That's what Jesus is saying here. If we have any amount of faith, then we have enough to move forward. In the second half of our gospel reading, Jesus continues, telling us essentially that we should consider ourselves slaves to this call, by the way. We should be slaves to this call. To make it our primary focus, our primary mission. Simply put, we need to be vigilant and to look for others who need our help in this spiritual, in this faith journey. Ultimately, to continue to help others more than we help ourselves. That's that part of wanting to come to the table, and Jesus says, no, you guys need to keep serving. Go back out. It's not time yet. For me, my call has always been to bring people into the faith. People who have no concept of what we're doing here. People who I know are searching for spirituality, but they're having trouble finding it. But wouldn't it be easier if I could just be with people who already know what they want? Who already know where they want to be? Who have found their spiritual home right here? Sometimes it seems so exhausting. I ask my friends to church. I sit with them. I talk with them. And I hope they show up. Not yet. Can't I just come in? Can't I just come in? I'm tired. Maybe I don't have enough faith to continue. But then I hear Jesus saying, get back out there because you have all you need. You have my love. Have faith. Jesus is telling us all we need to keep moving forward, to do the good works we are called to do by our faith. We have it. We have what it takes to get out there and get those things done. So here's a question. What works are we called to do? Maybe we need to think of it that way. Where's our list? What are the works that we could do ourselves instead of waiting for someone else to do it? Who has more experience? Visit someone in the hospital? Could we all do that? Share your faith story with a friend who might be searching? Is that something we could do? Invite others to worship. How about call someone that you have not seen here in a while and just check in on them? Faith. You have all you need inside you to do all the things that you know that Jesus is calling us to do. Don't let fear of rejection, and certainly don't let fear of credentials stop you. Jesus reminds us today that we have all we need right inside us. He's right there with you. Do you hear him? You have all you need right now to carry on. I hear the voices when I'm dreaming, and I can hear them say, carry on my wayward son, there'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest, and don't you cry no more.